Welcome to the newest episode of Story from the Sidelines, where we get to talk to some awesome people behind the scenes of paintball, especially tournament paintball, refs, league owners, coaches, and our fellow media people that really don't get to have a voice in what's going on in tournament paintball, but really make it what it is. Casey and Dan, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to sit down with us and have a conversation.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you guys are doing big things with MVPS and really setting the trend when it comes to webcasts. I believe USXBL might have beaten you guys, but that they work with Go Sports.
Anything Go Sports is going to be the same. I mean, across the board.
Yeah, exactly.
Same people doing it, everyone.
You guys are individuals. You guys do.
Yeah, we're all internal, so it's not like we're bringing in a third party. So
there's only 5 of us doing the whole thing. So
maybe later on, but I do have a question for you guys about Go Sports and all that. But that's gonna be later on after we get past basics.
Yeah, I mean, so let's just go across the board. We'll start off with Casey. Just like, who are you? Like, how'd you get into, I guess, the media side of it and wanting to put together a webcast?
So I started doing paintball media back when I was in high school. I was like a sophomore, got my first DSLR. Had a buddy. It was a Canon T5i.
There you go.
Rocking some vintage Nikon glass lens on there that I found in a cabinet.
Oh yeah,
nice.
It's the lens. It's a 70-200 like f4. I want to shoot with that all day.
There you go.
Yeah. And it's not like you're shooting in autofocus when you're filming paintball. So did that for a little bit, shot like an NCPA back in when UCF won their first one, way back when. And then kind of got out of the paintball media scene, got out of paintball for like 2 years, my junior and senior year of high school. Once I started at UCF, met Alex Udell, who runs the MVPS. And he was like, yo, you do paintball videos? I'm like, yeah, I've done them. Shot, like, gosh, this was like a spring skirmish a long time ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, and started just doing that. And now I'm here. Started filming every single MVPS until summer shootout. I think that was what it was called. I don't know. Last year, third event of the year at Austin Tyndall. And that's when we started the webcast. And now we do the webcast. So
nice.
Full spectrum.
That's sweet. Dan, you've been in paintball media for a while. I mean, I see pictures of BC from like 10 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy thinking back now, like when things like that pop up, like a memory from 11 years ago, and I'm like, holy crap! Like we were out there doing it back then. I did pictures and video and stuff like that just for my friends at practice and a couple events. We'd get teams to hire us, kind of thing. Just self-contracting it pretty much. Like we were just a couple kids with cameras and we'd go out, we'd get a few teams to book us and we just do it on the side if we weren't playing. And then played for years and like 15, 16 years. Since World Cup 06, I played every one up until this past year. And then I've known Zadell, ironically, since I was in middle school, pretty much.
Nice.
He was in high school. So we played against each other in like a little high school X-ball league way back in the day. And then somehow 15 years later, we're still around each other all the time. And he asked if we wanted to do the webcast thing. We always joked around about it, trying to do something local so that everyone can kind of see the divisional teams, see things more than just the professional webcast. And we thought, why don't we just set a couple cameras up, see what happens? And I mean, it happens. So it's been good.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched the webcast that you guys put out, and I'm a fan of it. Like, it's definitely something for if you're already into paintball,
right?
It makes sense. Because I mean, the cameras you're using, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but for the most part, they're like GoPros, right?
Yeah.
Yes and no. So we have one GoPro that is at the 50. We're adding more this event, so stay tuned. And then the corner cameras are Canon handy cams or Canon Vixas. I'm working through my head right now for this upcoming event this weekend, kind of changing the camera angles up instead of being so high, dropping them down some. That's the one thing I'm thinking about doing. But yeah, mainly GoPros and Canon. And then the commentator camera is a camera I used in high school. Like it's actually a legit broadcast camera.
I've seen that.
Nice.
Pretty massive.
Yeah, it's a big boy.
So question to you guys, sorry, real fast. How do I sound? Because I'm getting messages that you can barely hear me. So,
Yeah,
you sound good to me.
You sound good. I don't think you were talking.
It's clean, but you sound super low.
If I get closer, is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Turn it up.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to turn it up on this thing. It's brand new.
That's true.
I'll just be close. It's fine.
No, that's good. I mean, going to the webcast. I mean, you guys, for the most part, have a shoestring budget. We talked to Nick Slowiak about Go Sports and how he's a commentator and like what it takes to really put on a webcast, and like what they do is incredible. I mean, at that professional level with all the guys that they have and all the equipment that they use and really breaking it down. It's really good stuff. But I mean, for your everyday like paintballer, just like I want more paintball content, like you guys put on something spectacular, and you really kind of started this trend, especially for free on Twitch. And I've definitely seen more and more leagues trying to do this. I know NRPL out of Baltimore, Jonathan Atkins, who owns, I'm pretty sure he owns NR, runs that league, just started doing a webcast. So, I mean, you guys are really pioneers in this space. I mean, what really brought you to saying is like, you know what, let's just do it. Like, let's put on a webcast. Like, let's figure out how much it's going to cost us and like what and the equipment that we really need to do this. I mean, even from like a Wi-Fi perspective, like I don't even know how you guys have a hotspot that can handle the bandwidth and stuff for it.
So that's a really good question. So what was the first part of that? How did we start it?
Yeah. How did
come up with the idea? Okay.
Yeah.
So I used to live with Alex Udell, so I would pretty much bombard him all the time. Like, yo, let's just do a webcast. Let's do a webcast. It's easy. Like I can do it. Webcast. And we talked about it. We're like, all right, let's do it the last event of the season. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like I'll play this next one, film it, call it a day. And then out of the blue one day, he's like, we're going to do a webcast this event. I'm like, all right, well, sweet. And so we ordered everything we needed, got everything set up, got the commentators lined up. And then now we're fifth event, I think. And it's...
I'm sorry. Dan.
I don't even know. Okay, let me just say, I noticed you laughing, so I immediately go, who's in the chat? I haven't even read the comment, but I see that Jeff Whitmer's in the chat.
Oh boy, he's mad that you're not playing Warzone with him.
No, we were struggling earlier. I had to get off.
We'll be on later.
We'll be on later. He's got it.
That's my guarantee. He might got to go to sleep after this.
But please, Casey, continue. I'm sorry.
All right. So no, you're good. So for the internet side of things, it's actually a blessing to be at Austin Tyndale because they have wicked fast internet. Like it is super fast. So we just use like tethers, and it's the same thing. Like when Go Sports is there for the Winter Classic, we use the same internet they're using. So it connects to like their home base, and we shoot it through this like big antenna to another antenna, and then just right into a router. But for like the, what event was that? The Southeastern Championship, we have a little like hotspot thing through a lot of like Twitch streamers on IRL use. And it held up the stream all throughout the Southeastern Championship just fine. Like we didn't drop out once.
Nice.
So
I could definitely see that being like a big issue. Just making.
It's a huge issue.
100%. Especially after it starts like storming a little bit, or like the weather's not okay, and then for whatever reason, early in the morning, like when we need to set the stream up, is for whatever reason when it doesn't want to work for a minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, it's been pretty smooth. Honestly, it's kind of funny that a lot of leagues haven't done it or thought about doing it. I mean, if our group of friends can make it happen, it just kind of goes to show you that it should be happening everywhere. So.
I know Casey just brought up Go Sports, and that's kind of the question I actually had for him. I just want to ask, is it like difficult for you guys to work alongside Go Sports? Like, does anyone step on each other's feet or anything? No?
Not at
Kind
all.
of just like
I
each
mean,
other's thing, because I know they get kind of their own field to the side. They do their own thing. I wasn't sure if you guys had any problems with anything, like not like major
Nah.
problems per se, just something you'd want to address or anything.
No, they're super cool.
Yeah.
Darren of Go Sports, I reach out to him all the time. Like when I see him at events, I'll talk to him, bounce ideas off of him, because he's been doing this since PV Access, so way back in the PSP days. So like he knows the ins and outs of webcast for paintball and how to make them work. So any questions, like Arthur, I'm really good friends with all of them.
Yeah.
So, and like at the Winter Classic, we were both helping each other. I went over to check out what they were doing, because that was the first event they had like the cable cam, which was cool. And then I talked, like they came over and checked out how we had everything set up. And it's two completely different spectrums, because they have a full production van. We run it off a laptop.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, they have a much higher budget.
Yeah.
That's just that's their entire job. So
yeah.
Thanks.
No, that's super sweet. And when it comes to like putting this together, like there's definitely a money cost to it. Buying the cameras, putting up like the cables and like all this stuff. You guys are running on a shoestring budget right now. Like, do you guys have plans of increasing your budget? Like, I know that Go Sports has their whole subscription-based model, and that's how they get funding for everything. Like, has there been talks of trying to do some sort of fundraising to increase the production value of the webcast? I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but like, Go Sports just started doing the cable cam and everything. There's always room for improvement to do things. So have those conversations been had, and like what ideas have kind of been floating around?
So, go Pena.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, for the most part, Zadell, besides just being like a great owner, he's a really good friend. He wants to grow the sport. So, as far as like the budget goes, he's the kind of person, if we have an idea and we're able to make it work, like he helps back it up, because at the end of the day, when the product is finished and we put out a good product and people want to keep coming back because, they have like the random event and then all of a sudden they're getting interviewed, like it's a big deal to them. It brings people in. So, like we don't have let's say we haven't talked about like fundraising per se, but
kind of
definitely. Yeah. We have some things in the works. So.
Yeah. We're talking about doing like a donations thing for the stream. Just got to figure out how to get that all set up. On the Twitch side things, Zach knows a lot more about the Twitch side things. Wish he was in here, but
Zach Alsmeyer.
Yeah.
Word.
And heck, I could probably text him to tell him to hop in, but
I don't mind.
If you don't mind.
But
on the subscription side of things, the MVPS webcast will always be free, no matter what. Because there's no point to grow paintball to charge people to grow it.
Facts.
I definitely agree. And just looking at the comments over here, a lot of people are asking, where is Onell or Neil?
Mm-hmm.
Onell
And Zach. They Austin.
You would have to pay Onell to come out to do this.
Yeah, you would. Onell's a very busy businessman.
Facts.
Yeah, I actually wanted to address that as well. That we'd love to have everyone here, but everyone can't make it here.
Yeah, it's
I just texted
schedule.
Zach, so
yeah. Well, we can send him the link, and he can definitely hop in. Like,
Zach's working out right now. He's working on his gains.
Yeah, everyone's schedule doesn't mix, but everyone here that is here right now, including Zach and Onell, they all have different parts of this moving piece. And if we get a chance to get to them, we get a chance to get to them. But if we can't figure out a time that works best for all of us, we unfortunately can't do it.
Yeah. So actually, the godfather of paintball photography, Gary Baum, is asking a question. He's like, have you guys ever considered a webcast covering the divisional fields? I'm not sure if he means for NXL, because you guys covered the divisional fields for MVPS, but that would be a really cool thing to do, is to partner up with the NXL and start creating these Twitch webcasts for some of the divisional fields. They did.
So I don't know why they wouldn't just subcontract it out to you guys potentially.
Yeah, so they were doing it for a while. Matt Ingles was doing it for a minute. I know he did the NCPA webcast this past year, and I was in the talks with Chris Rail to go out to, I forgot what event it was, to help Matt with the divisional fields. I mean, I would love to try and bring that up, but I mean, right now with the 2020 season in the way it is with the NXL, I mean, World Cup's 3 months out, and I mean, that's up in the air. So we have no idea.
Yeah. No, Gary Baum saying that he's talking about for the NXL, and it's a real need for this. And I 100% agree with him. I feel
100%.
If you guys can have the conversation with Matt, I mean, director.
Yeah.
Matt's not really the one in charge of that. They need to go to Go Sports, because remember, Matt Ingles is NXL Media, not Go Sports.
I know, but Go Sports, I think they only have the rights for the pro field, not for the
that's what I think.
Yeah, so he probably I mean,
I didn't even know that they were separate like that.
It would
they're two
hurt.
They're two separate entities.
That was actually
Go Sports is his own thing.
Yeah, when we were talking to Nick, that was a huge thing that a lot of people don't know, that Go Sports is separated from the NXL, and what they do is they're two completely different entities that they just work together to get everything set up for the pro webcast. But anything that's going on for the webcast is all Go Sports, and the NXL has nothing to do with it. Shout out to Matt Angles, though. He put on the pro webcast for NXL Europe a couple times.
Yeah,
doing pretty much what you guys are doing, and he was actually doing it on Facebook. I was in the booth with him at Amsterdam, and dude was working like a madman. But
all he ever does.
Shout out to Matt Angles. Like, he's been grinding, and it's kind of crazy to think, like, I knew him back in 08, 09, and like he was just some random kid out there playing, and like little by little I saw him get a camera and like do a video or two, and then start getting into the media, and then now
chief media
doing it. So
I remember that.
Hey Rob, you should take a look at what Gary just said.
Oh, there are way more players on the divisional fields and a huge demand as a result. He can make it happen at NXL events. So
all right,
you guys need to be talking to Gary.
I'll reach out to you, Gary.
Gary Baum has been. He's taken pictures of almost every team we played on for like 20 years.
Gary has taken pictures of almost every team.
Everyone, like forever. I know, it's crazy.
I don't think there's a single player that has played in an NXL event that doesn't have at least one photo from paintballphotography.com.
I don't.
You don't? Well, play more NXLs. Get better.
Talking
about the good players, Rob.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I'm not very good. I'm pretty bad. But I mean, you guys do all the stuff for MVPS, but I mean, most recently you guys did the webcast for the 10-man event over at TVs.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get a chance to watch any of the footage, but I heard great things about the event. I mean, I know Sam and Bryce were out there. I'm good friends with AJ, and he was actually playing, which is a huge shock.
That was a fun one to watch him play and play with him. It was an interesting one because I did the webcast and also played, so it was like a toss up. But
I haven't sent you.
Oh, thanks, Sam.
You're not getting
waiting. Oh man. Okay. Deal. But yeah, it was a good event. We introduced a new thing that we're going to be bringing to the MVPS, which is a live barrel cam, which hasn't been done in tournament paintball to my knowledge yet. Which that's going to be a game changer. It's pretty cool. I used it a point. I gave it to another guy. We were just doing a test run for the MVPS coming up this weekend, just to see like how it worked. And I mean, there's definitely things to improve on for the next 10-man, add more camera angles and everything.
Can I just say something real fast?
Yeah.
So I'm red because I've been working in the 98 degrees sun for the past 4 days with no shade. I'm sorry.
I was waiting for this from the comments.
I need to just get like
wait, who said that? Who said that? Did Bedford say that?
No. Vic Photography.
Yeah, Vic Photography. If you don't know him, he's the deaf photographer. Probably the nicest guy you'll meet on the field.
Yeah, he's super nice. He's the one that called me out.
Yeah.
Listen,
Vic Photography.
There's not a single part of my torso that is not beet red right now. I'm sorry,
man.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything earlier, but you out here looking like
No.
Homeboy's hat right now and all.
I can blend in with a tomato right now, and I didn't want anyone to see it. I should just turn off my camera. This is
But
oh man.
But yeah, so when you're doing the barrel cam, are you only doing one barrel cam, or are you like setting up like a whole squad with barrel cams?
Only we have 2 barrel cams that we're going to have running at this coming MVPS. I mean, outfitting 5 guys.
It's a lot.
damn, yeah.
That's a lot of guns.
Yeah,
So,
maybe on
It's
each
a lot of
side,
there's a
too.
lot of cameras.
A lot of
Maybe 10
yeah, a lot of
10
GoPros.
cameras. If you
Yeah.
went with everybody.
It would be a lot, and it would be a lot of strain on the Wi-Fi.
I was about to say, I'm like, our Wi-Fi might not even be able to handle that.
Yeah. It's crap.
Not yet at least.
Yeah,
Not yet.
I
It
mean,
definitely wouldn't hurt to give it to like the snake players though, or something. Someone that's going to be up
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, definitely an attacker is going to be using the GoPro, not someone that's.
Yeah.
No offense to back players, but no one that's
it's
just sitting there holding a lane for
Yeah, what are you
whole
gonna
match.
do? You're gonna either give it to the attacker and say, "Oh, look, he's in the snake one, and these are where he sees people," or you're gonna give it to the home guy and say, "He sees everyone."
Exactly.
As you can see, he shot 12 pods into the gap.
Yep,
Exactly.
that's tournament paintball now.
Yeah.
But Casey, Bedford wants to know if you're in the camo room, which I believe
am.
you are.
I am in the camera room.
Yeah. So I mean, I've honestly
Camo.
very surprised that you have. Is that wallpaper or is that painted on?
No, my mom and I, when I was like 13, spray painted this. So
Spray paint.
Nice.
Bold choice.
yeah,
Hey,
Wait, you
Pena,
spray painted it?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
a bold
spray
choice.
paint.
There's actually a question for you, Pena. I'm not gonna tell you who said it, but I know you probably already know. Well, it's not even a question; it's a statement. He said your bikini car wash is a hit.
Oh, did he go today? Did he go?
I mean, I assume you know who it is, right? You should just call him out.
I have a couple side hustles, going on. That's one of them.
Yeah, Bedford.
Send us the make a webcast of it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm working with Zadell on that right now.
Fantastic.
It's going to be actually at the MVPS. Pena's
I mean,
bikini car wash.
We're
So
working
that's,
kind of with the Bang Girls. Make something happen.
that's the fundraiser for next season, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's how we upgrade the cameras and everything.
I don't want the Bang Girls.
What we got going on right now, guys?
I just want Dan, not the Bang Girls. I'm clear on that, right?
We'll make something work. We'll make something happen.
You can wear like shorts or something, but
yeah, I got the shorts.
So screw a second barrel cam. Dan has a GoPro on him at all times during the car wash.
They have those like mouthpieces. You can just put it in there.
Oh yeah. So
I know the lines here.
I got a quick question. So for who does the commentating? Because the only time I've watched, I saw Dan and Zach. So who else commentates? And how did you guys pick who commentates?
It's me, Zach, and Onel. And Onel, basically, we've all been really close friends for such a long time that Onel was kind of that easy pick because he's very serious. He's analytical. He breaks things down, but he's also he's kind of an asshole at the same time. So in like the funniest way, like he has that perfect bit of like business, but at the same time you're cracking up. He was just an easy pick. And then Zach, Zach and I, we're pretty much in a group chat with Zadell, so I think we just kind of forced it on him. We just said we're gonna go sit down and talk because I don't want to pick up the trash anymore. So here we are.
Yeah, I mean that's one way of not picking up trash.
Exactly.
So when we started talking about doing the webcast, the first thing Zudel said or Alex said was Onel has to do it, and he started talking to Onel. Onel was in, and then Zach and Pena came along for the rad.
Facts.
So
yeah, no, in Casey's, I don't know what you do now because I don't spend too much time outside the nets anymore. But the first few events, you were just the button pusher. You just changed the angles. Is that still kind of your thing?
Yeah, more button pusher around the venue. But this event, they're going to take over more of the button pushing. I'm going to be focusing more on like social media, putting posts up for like which teams win, just what's going on around the venue kind of deal. I mean, I'll still be over at the webcast doing the production side of things, managing cameras, making sure everything's working, not overheating because the Florida sun sucks.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh,
GoPros hate heat. So yeah.
no, it's I don't want to jinx anything, but I heard the weather's not going to be too ideal this weekend. You
Sick.
guys have a way of countering that usually.
Yeah, we hide under the tent.
No, not
Yeah.
you guys. I don't care about you guys. Your equipment, though, it's really expensive. You don't want that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I
So,
mean, obviously the stuff under the tent safe, but outside the tent, what do y'all do?
GoPros are waterproof, so that's a plus. Kind of. Well, not fully waterproof because we have to have the hatches open to hook the HDMI stuff in or the video out. But our cameras that are on the corners came up with this box that sits over the camera that has plexiglass that the camera shoots through, and it's completely waterproof, water sealed. So all the stuff, electronics, everything are hidden up in there so they won't get wet. And it's worked. I mean, they've been rained on multiple times and still work flawless. And yeah, every time. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. No, I mean, because that's important. I mean, living in Florida, like the rain comes and goes like every
it's
15, 20 minutes. Like
it's a flip of the switch. It could be sunny out and pouring.
Yeah.
Your Floridian has seen the rain in the back, but seen the blue sun in front.
Yep.
Blue sky.
Yeah. Blue sun. Yep.
Blue sun.
Yeah. Blue sun?
Oh, you just
that's
that?
Yeah. It's like
Pandora.
Pandora.
Been on that for like 5 minutes. Where have you been?
Reading comments. Come on, somebody's. I gotta moderate this thing.
I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm not really paying too much attention to it, but I'm looking at it.
Oh man.
So is Dan. He's just looking to see if he can laugh.
Yeah, well, because I like every time I look over, it's someone that I'm just wondering what they're about to say.
So, it's Justin. Every time you look over, it's Justin.
Yeah, I see that. Reese hopped in there. We got a couple people in there.
Yeah.
So
Muffin.
I mean, now that I know, I guess the main talent. Well, I'll call Dan talent. Zach's more talented than Dan. I'll call it what it is. Have you guys thought about trying to bring in like guest commentators? Like I know Go Sports, like they have their usual like Todd and Maddie. They had like Nick being a commentator for a while. But they started bringing like Ryan Greenspan and Marcelo, like all these people that can really break down the game really well and analyze it. Have you guys thought about trying to bring in like some of the damage guys by any chance?
We've done it.
Oh, you have done it? Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, we bring like Eli in. He's in there a decent bit. We'll bring in players a lot. Mikey Waring's been in there. All the local pros usually that we're friends with will hop in the booth and chit chat, commentate the game. I know the first event that we did the webcast, Brad McCurley hopped in with Mikey. It was just the two of them on the stream for a little bit and they chatted up, talked about the game. So
we also, besides like Elias and Mikey Waring and like the pros that we're associated with, we also bring in like any upper divisional player that they couldn't even be in the event playing, but we'll have them come in, they'll talk about a game or two, just because, I mean, like you said, it's good hearing other people's perspective and just getting people's opinions on things. And Go Sports, like you said, I mean, it's good, but at the same time, like, you kind of get tired of hearing the same people talk about the same things and, the old times and things like that. So it's good expanding out.
It's definitely good to have that other voice.
Yeah, and that's what Nick was saying, was that Maddie Marshall does a great job with the webcast. There's no denying that he does it, but we've watched him in Go Sports and PBA before that, and the stories that he tells, and I don't want to say like the people that he roots for, but kind of, I guess some of the catchphrases that he says, they're starting to become tired out, and it's nice having these like this new blood of commentators come in, like Marcelo, like Ryan, these vibrant people that are charismatic, but also are true students of the game.
Exactly.
So it's cool to get their perspective, and especially now at a regional level, what you guys are doing, you guys are able to bring in, you don't necessarily need pro players. It's cool to have Elias and Brad and Mikey come in, but like you can bring in some like semi-pro or Division II players. Like, I mean, like Ryan Hosky. Like,
Yep.
I mean, dude is. I mean, I've only heard from, and I've heard from AJ, like he's watching film nonstop and just trying to learn to get better. I mean, shout out to them. Killers won D2. I mean,
Yeah.
D2 series champs right now.
Yeah.
I think that's one cool thing about the MVPS is now with the D2, and I mean D3 has been pretty hot for the last 2 seasons, but it gives those the players that maybe used to play pro a long time ago or used to play semi-pro, like Pena, for example. I mean, he was ranked D1 for the longest time. All the RCK guys, all the people that were ranked D1 or higher have dropped down in rank, and they're like, oh, well, we can play this local series that actually has competition now, and they can play, and they have
big lamps.
Oh, well,
that's all you're talking about. You're just glad you guys can play again.
Kinda, not really.
Yeah, you guys can try now, but you could.
We could.
We need you guys to commentate, so then we can go back out there and play.
Rob, you want to play?
Fly me out.
Okay, we don't got that kind of budget. Okay, all right.
Listen, you guys got that spirit budget, and that's okay. He can handle that. He doesn't want to ride that, but he can handle that.
Hey, free flight's a free flight.
I mean, Pena's bikini car wash got you covered.
I was gonna say, give that a couple weeks. I'll have it with you guys.
I like it. So I mean, with MVPS now, you guys are doing D2. I mean, WCPPL they have their new premier division, which
that's semi-pro, I think.
Is it like I don't know?
Their premier division is like open, so it's pretty much semi-pro. I mean, pretty much the people that are playing it are either just playing it for fun or they're semi-pro. But they've had D2 forever. But as far as I know, and I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know MSXL has and all that. But I think MVPS is the only other really league in the country right now, besides WC and NXL, that has D2.
No, MSXL they have their open division.
They do.
They have open now.
Oh, that's right.
It's open. So like Level was playing Energy Elite.
Yeah. So you have pros whooping the shit
out
of D2 players.
Exactly, and no one wants it.
We're trying to win at least once this year, so
they did well. They did well.
Yeah. Level did.
I know. I'm shooting shots. It's okay.
Level was a very welcome surprise.
Yeah, I think. Oh, totally.
That's another thing is that it's good seeing new teams like that. Now, I guess we're moving off media, but seeing new teams like that is always fun because it gets so repetitive. Seeing the same guys on no offense, but like Dynasty and teams like that, like the same 5 doing the same thing year after year after year. It's like you're just so over it. So it's like teams like Level come out and they're just throwing bodies down the field. Like sometimes you got to do that kind of thing. Like it's entertaining, it's fun, and if you go out there if you're not having fun, you're going to die out in paintball so quick. Like especially when you get to that pro level, I give it like a year or 2 before people start dropping off if they're not still having fun. So I think bringing new people in is fun doing stuff like that. That's why divisional leagues, I feel like, need to expand more. WCPL, like Sam said, has had D2 forever. And that was like the only league for so long that would have any kind of upper divisional talent there. So that's why we're trying to bring it up, bring more teams out.
I would say the main thing with that is Florida didn't really have a lot of divisional D2 teams, for example, until this last season of MVPS. Because all the teams were playing, I mean, there was like almost 20 teams in D3 for the whole season. And all the teams that were placed in like the top 3 or 4, all those players got ranked D2, not playing a single event. So instead of them having to travel for an event in the 22 inning season, which of course didn't happen, the MVPS will give them like the opportunity to still play locally, not spend the crazy amount of money traveling, and still play with all their friends.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And what you guys are doing is great. Like I've been wanting to come down to play a day and shoot a day or shoot
Do it.
days.
It's worth it.
I want to.
He wants to make money, and that's the problem.
Yes and no. Like I want to come down, but it's tough with work and everything. And like I'd have to. I work in Manhattan. For like the real job is like working in advertising and stuff. No, honestly, it's more than a hassle. I live in New Jersey. I commute like 4 hours a day. Yeah, it's not a flex at all. It sucks. But yeah. So like coming down, it's like I gotta leave like the last flight out on Friday and then take the last flight out on Sunday. So now my flight is like $400 or $500. So that's before even like housing there, entry, paint. So like it turns into
Just share a bed with Sam.
I
won't
want
mind.
to let you guys know that it's $400 because he likes flying bougie. He
I
can
fly
just fly
United.
Spirit and it'd be $60, but he doesn't
fly
like
United.
that.
You might not make it, but you'll get here for like you might get here for $50. So
Well, Pro is Austin Tyndall's right by an airport, so
which is true. Because I Casey, we've had this conversation before. I played in college, played at Temple.
oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Going to Austin.
Right.
Going to Austin.
Sorry about that, bud.
Yep. Thanks, bud.
The con
Didn't
is
have to bring that part up.
Yep.
It's okay. But yeah, no, I love Austin Tyndall. I mean, it's a phenomenal venue. I mean, don't get me wrong. I miss CFP for
No,
NCPA.
no.
100%. Sam, you never went there, so you really don't understand.
I never went to CFP. It's 30 minutes down the road.
No, you never went to CFP for an NCPA
I don't
event.
care. I know.
I was
what
at
it's
the
like.
old NCPA events, like I would say 2011, 12, 13. Like those events were pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie, especially I don't know that was fun. People were getting it was a good time.
The events can be fun, but they can be fun at other places. CFP is not.
There was more vendors. The HK guys were there.
That's
like
there was more grass.
That's not
the college students.
Oh, more grass.
Yeah, they had grass at that time.
Yeah, the college students were all partying and stuff.
Yeah.
I brought this up on a different webcast, but my buddy Sean actually played against Bear DeGidio in a game of beer pong for a pack because his pack broke and beat him to then go grab the pack and then went to go play a match.
Hell yeah.
That's the only way to play college paintball.
Oh yeah. I mean it would and like he didn't just he didn't just beat him, I think Bear only made like a single cup. Like he almost had to do a naked lap.
Naked mile, yeah.
Yeah, and around CFP, that's a lot of fields. And it's always that time like just before Dallas. Yep. So you'd have like Damage and Infamous playing on Sunday and Saturday, like on the far field, and then you have all the other fields for like all the college teams. So I couldn't even imagine just like running around like 4 or 5 fields just naked. Mm-hmm. But I can see Bear DeGidio doing that 100%.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can see him doing it, but
yeah, it would be good. That's something to webcast. Little black box over some parts, but definitely webcast approved.
How little are you thinking? Because you were.
I'm not gonna speculate on that. Next thing you know, Bear DeGidio is gonna hop in the comments and be like,
"Oh, you're about to be on the next episode of
put some respect
Burger Town."
Oh actually, yeah, what's his podcast thing again? That thing makes me crack up.
Yeah, it's
hilarious.
It's
oh my gosh,
to watch, but
honestly, he would be good. He would be good because he's commentated before.
I thought he was one of the best ones that Ghost Sports had in Vegas last year. I thought I was laughing so hard at some of the stuff he said, like the Rabikoff with the purple beanie and us. Oh my god!
Oh yeah, great.
He's a professional shit talker, and that's not a bad
great
thing.
Personality. No, it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
What you need.
Yeah, you need the balance.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, from what I've been able to tell, him commentating was like a lot of people's favorite thing about some of the events.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, if you have a personality like that, his entire job, as far as I can tell, is being an internet personality besides running the field. So
yeah.
Totally. It, man.
Yeah, we'll talk to Zadell, Bear. Bear, if you're out there listening, right, we need you to come down for one weekend, even just one set. Come in. We'll go to the club. We'll get some bottles, and then we'll kill it. That'd be hilarious, honestly.
That'd be great. So actually, we're getting a comment from Austin Cowart to keep the conversation to local events and not living in the past.
We're
all right.
Wow. No Austin one cares about Ken Bryson touching you, Pena. Wow. I wasn't even going to go there. He went there.
Dude, anytime people bring up not that, I'm saying like that whole team situation, I'm like, yo, don't get me involved. I don't want to be a part of that shit.
Yeah, that's not somewhere where we want to go.
Yeah,
but Zach's here, by the way.
Oh, Zach's here? Bring him in.
Yeah.
Like in the Call him?
Oh, he's
Yeah.
here.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
Zach.
full stream
Everything.
setup.
Yeah, he's a streamer, yo.
Yeah. No. Oh, I know. He
He has his OnlyFans too.
Hey, Zach.
Zach, we can't hear you.
Oh goodness, Zach. Where's your glasses?
You can
He
tell
can't
that
see
he's
the
saying
screen.
hold on, but he can't hear it. Oh, someone just took a drink. I heard that. Oh,
Yeah,
that
that
was,
was
you know
me.
how I know that was Casey? Because you can hear anytime someone has AirPods and they take a drink, you hear everything.
Mm,
You really do. You really do.
yeah.
I got like a sweet headset on, and
Yeah.
like I'm like about to like commentate like a football game.
Man.
Yeah, I was about to say, you have a notepad ready.
Yeah. About to
Hey,
pull out
hey,
the whiteboard like John Madden and start Xing and Owen everything, and just you can't even when I take a sip, you can't hear it. It's
hey,
unbelievable.
Pena.
Oh, God,
Austin
yeah.
wants you to give him the Verve talk, whatever that is.
Oh my God. Wow. I forgot. That's a wild story. Oh man.
Yeah, bring it
You
up.
can tell
This is
it. I mean,
this is stories from the sidelines.
Okay, all right. So I guess he told me not to live in the past, and then he brings up one of the best nights our paintball group ever had. All right, so way back in the day, we would like during the off season.
How far is way back?
Honestly, it probably was 8-9 years ago.
Okay.
So it was kind of way back. So we would all get together, like John Glanville. I don't know if you guys ever.
My mic was muted. LOL.
Zach was
Wow.
there
Talking
for
about
that. I'm
Verve.
pretty sure.
My bad. I didn't notice, bro. It's just muted randomly.
Yo, Zach, were you there for the business casual night?
Yeah, Verve Nationals like 9 years ago. That was a great time.
So we went to Orlando, and we all wanted to meet up because our thing was like every month we would all the paintball homies from around, we would all meet in like one city and just kind of like party for the weekend, just to like see all of like our good friends. Somehow during Nationals, we all thought it'd be a good idea to go dress up in like business attire and go to a club.
That's amazing.
Wild night.
Like a club or like a strip
Yeah.
club? Because I know how you Florida always go.
It was
No,
Knight's
It wasn't
Library.
even a club. It was a warehouse with alcohol. Don't let them
It
like.
was like Knight's Library. Was it Knight's
Knight's
Library?
Library. It's
Yeah.
that's
Knight's
I'm
Library.
close. That's
We
where
went
it's
there, and let's just say like Austin Cow. Like we saw people with half our friend group by the end of the night is just like without their clothes, roaming around the club, like the bar. Just Nico got in the stripper cage. I tried getting in the stripper cage. We ended up trying to. Our friend Opie, our good friend Opie, rest in peace. He scaled the side of one of the apartment complexes because we were trying to get into Zach Daughtry's house.
Mhm.
But before that all happened, before we went out, we were going to go pick up this girl from her apartment, and somehow her roommate roped us into a Verve like business pyramid
That
scheme.
ended up like this, where some dude was like, "No, I'll Skype you in," and I was like, "I don't even want to be here, let alone talk to you. Like, I want
Yeah,
to talk to
literally.
your cousin from Oklahoma about why I should buy an energy drink. Like, this is not happening."
It was so funny. So Opie at the time, I think it was Opie, he like turned to me, he's like, honestly, like this is all good and all. He's like, but I'm just trying to go out with my friends. So like, we're going to go. So
We gotta
think-
go.
I think Verve needs to be the newest sponsor of the MVPS webcast.
dude,
I think.
I mean, we already know there's the pitch. So we got
Yeah,
it.
you guys need to say it.
Good point.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of sponsors for the webcast, have you guys thought about doing that? Trying to bring on like sponsors? Like,
We have sponsors for the
Yeah.
webcast.
do you?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, we have
Go ahead, Casey.
Ruthless, GI Sports, Tiki's Paintball, Gun Roller Paintball, DLX. Am I missing one, Zach?
I think that's it. So if you watch the webcast or like rewatch it, on the bottom left-hand side is where we put up the sponsors, and it's usually like a match sponsorship. So like the higher tier sponsor you are, the more matches that your logo will show up on. And we, instead of just having it there like all day for one day, it'll just rotate through on like each match, which works out really well for like the MVPS coming up. But for 10-man, I think we just left it up on Tiki's most of the day because it wasn't
Yeah.
like an MVPS sanctioned event. It was more just a event ran by MVPS.
Yeah.
Nice. So when we were talking about fundraising, so since you guys have sponsors for the webcast, are they paying to get their logos up on the webcast? Like, is that a form of fundraising that you guys are doing?
It's a yearly thing.
Okay.
So like they have a set amount and then
Gotcha.
yearly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's not just the webcast side of things. It's like the sponsorship includes the webcast, but it's more over the whole event too.
Gotcha. No, that makes a ton of sense. It's like any other sponsor at like NXL and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very
I
similar.
want to welcome Zach officially. From what I can tell,
Oh,
we
yeah.
now have the A team here, and the B team
What's
can just do whatever they want to do now.
Yeah, Zach, you are considered the A team by the people commenting in the chat.
Well, that's good. What's the team on here right now? Like the D team, the G team?
Oh,
We're
well,
missing
Justin
a
rated
whole
them.
round.
I didn't even think we were on the team, so I'll take it, dude. I'll take it.
Justin rated them higher at the B team, but if you want to bring them lower, you being the A
It's
team
all right,
kind of
man.
have the power.
I didn't even
Put
know
me
that this
on
was
line
going
3.
on, so I'm happy to be here now. You know, I got a message like halfway through my workout, like, "Yo, join on your phone." I'm like, I'm literally in the middle of a gym. I don't know
Did he
how
not
to
send
do
any
this, but-
context? He just sent the link that says "join on your phone."
Bro, it was just I got a screenshot of like the middle of this, and somebody's like, "Yo, where you at?" I'm like, "I don't even know what this is. What is that? Like, what are we talking about here?"
Yeah, we were
Dude,
told you were
usually-
working out.
When
What's up?
Casey sends us links like that, it crashes our phones. So
Yeah, usually I try not to click the things Casey sends, but I'm glad to be here. Did I miss anything like important? Did I miss any questions that need to be answered, or are we good?
No, I think
we're good.
Yeah, I don't think anything.
Yeah, we're actually
I
going to
figured-
stop right now.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is,
I figured we were set when I showed up and we were talking about Verve. I was like, I don't think I really missed anything. Maybe I can just go make my shake and leave. Could have got
His
O'Neill in here
roommate just
too, but
came
it
in.
happened.
Shout out Dan Pena's roommates. Thanks for coming in and crashing the podcast. Really appreciate it. But
I like the-
Bars. Say hi to the people you live. There you go.
what up?
there you
Nice,
go.
bro.
There we go.
I'll ask Zach
Great
a question
commentary.
real fast because Zach is always in the commentators booth. He really I don't really see him out unless someone else is taking his place, but otherwise he's just always there.
P breaks.
Um,
What's up?
Is it tiring watching that much paintball and not really getting that much of a break?
It's not tiring watching that much paintball. It's tiring just being stuck in one spot. Like, so much of me just wants to be able to stand up. I wish we could figure out a way to get the camera to work if we could stand up, because there's a lot of times where when the camera's not on us and it's just on the field, all of us will just stand up just to try to stretch our legs some. We kind of have the mics for it where we can, luckily Casey got long enough cords where we can actually kind of stand up and walk around a little bit. It's not tiring watching that much paintball. It does get surprisingly warm in the booth. That's something I didn't expect. It's almost easier to be out and like playing paintball because you get a breeze than it is to just sit in the booth for like 12 hours a day. You don't get any breeze in there because the nets and then all the equipment, not to mention we're next to like 2 laptops and a bunch of camera stuff that gets to like 200 degrees and we have to be next to it all day. So it does get pretty hot. I don't think it gets tiring at all though. I enjoy it. It's nice to be able to sit down and watch paintball, especially because we're encouraged to like chirp people and talk shit during interviews. That helps out a lot. Shout out Alex for just giving us like full creativity of that.
Yeah, he doesn't know about it, but he gave it.
So
He
it
loves
sounds like fans need to be put into the budget for the next event.
Yeah, we
That's Casey's
we have
job.
fans.
we
No,
have
we
them.
have
You
fans.
should use them.
Yeah, usually they just don't show up until like Sunday at 5 p.m. and it's like, cool, it's finals. We're a heat stroke and a half through this, but like, yeah, sure, plug it in, find a spot.
Yeah, just like Casey to forget the stuff.
Yeah, it's all right. I enjoy it. It's a good time.
Don't blame Casey. He seems to be on top of a lot of things. I have full faith that he's
We
not.
give him a lot of shit, but Casey's out. Low key Casey is the first one out there working. Me and Zach will roll out of bed. We got to get our coffee. Zach rolls into Wawa and eats his banana. You know, we roll right in, and then by the time we get there, Casey only needs us to help with like one camera, and then we're ready to go. Casey's the man.
The ladders, yeah, I'm never climbing the ladders. That's usually Casey. I'll hold the ladder. You're not going to get
The
me
ladders
to
are
that
fun.
ladder. Yeah,
The
which is
ladders
why
are the
you
best
do
part
it.
of the whole day.
That's fantastic.
I literally think you're gonna die. Like he's up so high that I'm telling him if he falls, like I can't do anything.
Yeah, there's no catching. It is a kind of wild setup. Like we could probably dial it down to maybe like an hour or two, but usually it takes us quite a while to actually get everything set up, all the cameras.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, at Austin Tyndall, we have to kind of tear everything down each night because where it is around so many people, like if somebody wanted to come out there and just rip off everything, they could just take all of our equipment in like 35 minutes with a ladder. So it does kind of suck having to go back out there every morning. That might be something people don't recognize is we do get out there at like 6 a.m. Which means we got to wake up at like 5 a.m.
I'm there at 5:30.
I get out there at like 6 a.m. Casey wants to say that he's out there at like 5 a.m., but I show up and nothing's been done. So I've yet to figure that out. So we do get out there pretty early, and then we don't get back until pretty late. But I mean, I enjoy it. It's not like I'm hating on it, but it is a long day.
AV Loza wants to know if what you guys do is OSHA approved.
Yeah, the setup's fine.
No.
I mean, we don't have I don't have a hard hat when I'm underneath Casey when he's on the line.
But
What approved?
It'll be all right.
Reese asking if it's OSHA
Yeah,
approved.
Reese asked too.
Yeah,
I have my OSHA 30 hour. If y'all want, I'll go out there and inspect it for you.
that'd be great,
Ooh.
actually.
But I have no choice but to write you guys up. I mean, I don't have that power, but I'm sure I can get the right guy out here that has
Yeah.
that power.
Ooh.
I don't know if there's any like OSHA requirements for like heat sensing or like temperature for hours in the sun, but I mean, we get a lunch break. I think we're all right.
Yeah.
You guys get a lunch break?
Yeah, we get a lunch break around the same
You
time.
guys are getting paid?
Yeah, right.
Wait, you guys, what? Yeah.
I mean, I never really thought about that though. That you would have to put it up and take it down every night. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody who's been to an NXL event has seen, at least stayed there towards the like semifinals on Sunday, like seen the event like start getting taken down. And we're talking to Nick of like how crazy it is that like all these booths are taken down in the span of like 2 hours, which is, to me, like it takes like six or 7 hours to put it all up. But then as soon as you want to start taking it down, it's like it's like 10
Taking
times.
down is a lot easier.
Yeah, it's super easy to be able to just tear it all down. And it does help that we kind of run the webcast the way we do. If you look at Go Sports, and it's not like any shade, but they spend a lot of money to do a lot of things. And I feel like we've been able to like really succeed in putting on what we do with not nearly the amount of budget for just about the same production value. And especially, luckily, Alex got us those GoPros, and me and Casey figured out, well, mostly Casey actually figured out how to get the different server up so we can get a gun camera going. Like, I've never seen any other webcast ever, or really in general, anybody try to do a live stream from a paintball gun. You see like YouTube videos from it, but anybody can just plug the GoPro into the computer to figure it out. But doing it live, like on the budget that we have, is, I think that's a pretty good feat.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was saying. You missed this part earlier, but what I was saying is that you guys are really pioneers to my knowledge, in setting up a webcast. I remember the first webcast that you guys did. I actually watched it and I was like, wow, this is, I guess, commentators. Like I was expecting just like one camera at the 50, and that's it, and it's just gonna be silence. You don't know who's hopping on, and it's just like it's free paintball to watch, and even that's still cool. So the fact that you guys started beyond that, and you guys took it as seriously as you guys are, and like the milestones that you've hit, like you guys are interviewing people, you're bringing people in the booth. I mean, hell, you have pro players coming into the booth to commentate a little bit. I mean, I could be wrong, but you really don't see that, or at least you don't really hear about that.
Yeah,
about other webcasts. Whenever I've talked to somebody about a regional league webcast, it's all MVPS is always the first league that comes up.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it is nice to be able to do that. And obviously, I mean, it does help that MVPS, I think, is the second largest league in the world right now. I know before COVID happened, they were looking at like NXL Europe technically is like the second largest one, but then they got merged. It is really nice to be able to do. And yeah, we try to get a lot of people in there. Luckily, we have Onel. He's a lot better at trying to interview most players than I am. He's a lot more personable with a lot of the guys. So that helps out a lot. But yeah, it's really cool to see. And like you said, I haven't really seen many other leagues attempt to run webcasts, or maybe I'm just not looking. Granted, I'm not really on Facebook, so I don't really know. But I mean, on top of that too, like, not to throw shade, I don't want to watch a paintball event with like 12 teams. You know, like I'm just not gonna tune into that. Luckily, MVPS is still having like 100 plus teams. I think last time I checked for this event in the middle of a pandemic, like 90 teams signed up, I think, or 90 teams. I think 90 teams paid. I think there's. Like,
I looked at it today. There's 88 teams signed up. Okay. So
I think it's 88.
So
paid,
88.
Right?
Jesus. Yeah, 88 paid. Yeah. So, I mean, grand scheme of things, that's like the second largest in the world.
Is that bigger than WC? Because I know WC pulls in like crazy amount of teams.
Yeah, right when we first started the MVPS, I was checking it. There was one event that they were bigger than MVPS, but that was the MVPS event that was kind of out of.
Was that the Jacksonville event?
Yeah, it was out of our regular like geographical location. So that was kind of like an iffy one. And then all the other ones we were bigger than, and it wasn't really like by a small margin either. Like there were events where MVPS was pulling, I think, like 120 teams. Like that stuff hasn't happened since like the Mayday of CFPS. Like back then, when this is like 6 fields run stuff, and I mean, you got to give it to Alex too that the venues and the events that are being run, like this feels like a national event. Like when you walk into an MVPS event, it doesn't feel like you're playing a local event. Everything is set up great. And I mean, I kind of wish MVPS was around when I was a lower divisional player and we were playing. Luckily, we got to play with shout out to Lamps.
Big Lamps.
Yeah, that hasn't really been happening lately. I think it's because a lot of the team is either doing media or taking pictures or commentating, or just we don't have the money anymore because none of us want to.
Or rank too high.
Yeah, or that. But there's D2 now too, and I
guess we could play D2 technically.
There's like 6 teams paid, I think, for D2. I don't know. Yeah. I looked at one of the rosters and it's literally like an old school. Like every time I look at a D2 roster from Florida, it just blows my mind that it's even allowed to play. Like how did everybody get re-ranked? Like all of Static is ranked low. Like the Florida Kings are all ranked low. I'm pretty sure I saw a bunch of TKO players on the roster. It's like, okay, this will be like, there'll be a lot of fun to watch. So I'm excited for this upcoming MVPS.
So when you guys do the webcast, are you guys only doing the webcast for one division, or like how does that work with all the different divisions, and especially now because I'm assuming that there's 5-man and then there's also X-ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
All right. So the way it works is we mainly during prelims we'll cover an X-ball because it's split deck. It's easy because 5-man would be very hectic to cover prelims because it's just constant rotating of teams and it would be a nightmare. And they don't use like live scoring per se for pro or for 5-man. But so like D3 X-Ball will strictly be on the webcast for Saturday until the finals, until post prelims. And that's when 5-man will get integrated. They should either play their semifinals and finals on the webcast or just finals, one of the two. Okay. And then on Sunday, D2 and D4 play. So it's kind of like a toss up. So it'll be like split deck with a D2 team and a D4 team.
Yeah. Okay. So I know that at NXL Philly last year, I believe every divisional team was guaranteed one match on like the divisional webcast field.
I think I heard about that too.
Yeah.
I think I know there was an event last year where we were talking about trying to guarantee that. I'm not really sure if that's come to fruition yet. I think
logistically.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to schedule. It would just be something else that Alex would have to try to figure out. And honestly, he does so much already. I'm not really sure if that's something at the top of the list. In reality,
I do have to say, Zadell, unfortunately, because we've had some events where, do you remember our schedules were like when we did play as the Lambs, we had 3 matches back to back.
Yeah.
Like literally back to back. So no break or anything. So the thing is, but then when we ask him about it, he doesn't have anything to do with the schedules and things like that. That all has to go through APA or PB leagues now. So he unfortunately he can't control that. So he would have to contact them to make that happen.
Yeah.
And that seems like, I mean, let's be real.
They're
going to go through
I don't think that's going to happen with them. I think one of the bigger things too is it might suck to hear or say, but like if you want to be on the webcast, like just be better. Like the finals are on the webcast. It's just when the webcast first came out, like everybody that played, everyone I know wanted to be on the webcast, right? And if you weren't on the webcast and you complained about it, what they said was just be better. And everyone was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just have to practice more. So all the finals are on the webcast, like all the way down to the 5 minutes, like the D5 5-minute. Like you'll be on the webcast, just be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I mean that's just like at NXL. You're not making, if you play divisional, you're not making the webcast unless you play finals.
Yeah. There might be other prelim games that get on it in the future if we're able to schedule it that way. Because like I said, all the cameras are on one field, so if they can just rotate prelims in and out. But I know a lot of times X-ball, like we were saying earlier, is just more fun to watch. So, I mean, it might just be on the stuff that more people would want to watch. Because it is a webcast after all, right? Like, if more people are going to watch something, it's probably best for us to make sure that more people get to watch that.
Well, and I mean, not only that, but we already, I mean, the fact that we're providing a webcast for like the D3 and the D2 teams, like, yeah, the D6 and those other teams, like, it's good that they're being featured. But a lot of times, like the D3 and the D2 teams, those are the teams that are out there, like, really practicing, really putting the work in and things like that. And like, those are the ones that you see come out and really make a difference. Like, we see like Palm Beach Reckless, for example. Like, we didn't really know who they were, but now after watching for 4 events and like seeing the way that they grind and put the practice and the work in, like, it makes you realize like those are the teams that you want to promote because, you know, they're really putting the work in, you know, they don't have a chance to be out there known to the people to see themselves and things like that. And I mean, they deserve it. Those kids are dirty. Like, there's a lot of teams out there that don't really get noticed. So we try and do the D3 and the D2 for the most part, like the upper divisional ones that we have. And then, like they said, just once we get to the finals is when we kind of start rotating everyone else in.
So there's 2 questions that I kind of want to address. The first one, and they're both by Austin. So
Austin Counter.
But the first one,
yes,
he just wants,
yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
He wants to know why there aren't any women. There's no women present. It's all testosterone in the booth.
Yeah.
Oh,
are there plans of bringing a Lauren Kelly-esque type of personality into the booth or to do?
I think
if anyone knows a
Penya's
Lauren
working on
Kelly-esque person to come into the booth, but
I think I mean Lauren Kelly, she just does interviews, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we have interviews. I don't really know. I mean, it's going to sound shitty, but I feel like typically commentators kind of need to have a lot of experience in what they're doing. That's why Go Sports did so well, because they have a lot of ex-pro players that have like 15 years experience, so they can break down what's going on. I don't know a lot of girl paintball players that are still in the sport with enough experience to really want to do that, or that show up to all the MVPS events. I know Gia Paxton, when she was putting teams in, like possibly, but I don't know if she puts teams into the MVPS or would want to show up and do that. Other than that, like, I don't really know of any girls that would be able to do that other than players that show up. In which case, like, if I'm playing the event, I don't know if I'm going to want to take my like precious break time to go sit in gear in the sun and commentate. But I mean, if they want to.
That's fair. The second question also by him is, could you guys put cameras on other fields? Like, I assume I'm going to I laid out like a question I would ask. Is there any plans to expand to more fields in the future?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely in the future. Possibly this coming event. It's just got to see what we have equipment wise that we are able to use for the event. To set up another camera. I'm not 100% sure how we would do it to make it entertaining, because commentating is only one, like, is the main thing that brings the whole show to life, because it's just camera angles, what people see on the field. And that's kind of like what Rob said when those like main webcasts, the webcasts that the regional leagues bring up where it's just a 50 cam, that's what another field's camera would be essentially.
Yeah. I would assume if it would be something along the lines of what NXL was doing like 2 years ago, which is actually, I think, where at least where I started getting commentary experience, where they had the main fields with the commentators and the cameras, and then they had another divisional field with just like 150 pole. And then they would just have like whichever pro player wanted to would walk over there, and then they just this happened with the Ducks. Like, we just walked up to the booth and picked up the mic,
that.
And we just started talking, and then the guys in the audio, we thought it was off. The guys in the audio booth just gave us a thumbs up, and they were like, "Yeah, go ahead." We're like, okay, I guess we're just going to allow anyone to walk in here. So I would assume it might be something along those lines, where it might just be a 50 pole. It'd be kind of hard to keep it on the mainstream, since the mainstream is always running games. So it might be like a secondary one or something.
There may be a way to like Facebook Live that. I don't know. That's actually a really good idea.
Really smart. Just run a second field on Facebook Live or something like that.
Yeah, but also be able to tether into it through. We'll talk about that, Zach. Yep. I just got an idea.
Ooh.
But
this is what this podcast is for, is to talk about these good stories and brainstorm some ideas and kind of bring things to light and make make what's going good even better.
Yeah.
And get these different perspectives. I mean, some more things, some more comments from Austin is like female personalities. You have Brad's wife. I mean, but she's playing most of the
She
time.
plays.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's playing, and then because so Brad's wife Rosie.
She also has a kid.
Yeah, I was about to say when she's not playing, like literally, we've tried to get her in the booth before for interviews and stuff, and that's a working class woman right there. Like she's out there playing and killing it. First off, people that don't know out there, Brad McCurley's wife Rosie is honestly really good. It's actually very
some of my best players. Some of my best moments on the field are shooting Rosie. So
yeah, she's crazy good. And then. But the second that they get off the field, even like after that point in the same match, she will pick her kid up and she's holding her kid. So yeah, she's on mama duty.
Oh yeah. And then some other female personalities, Bae Young's, and Amanda Setzer. B.
Amanda's in New York. So
yeah. And B is what, Minnesota?
Yeah. I mean, we brought up, it's just one of those things where if people have the experience and like they're willing to come in and do like a commentary thing, then sure. I mean, there's a lot of times where we've been sitting there for like 7 hours and we'd love to go take like a match or two break, which has happened before. But I don't know if it's just we want to have like any random person in there to talk about it who's not going to be able to like contribute or to like explain like what's going on, which is one of the things where I think that was one of the main things that we wanted to try to do with the MVPS webcast is like no shade, but a lot of times at Go Sports webcasts, like they're not explaining why people are doing things. I think it's important, especially for like a broader audience, to try to explain why teams are running certain plays, or try to explain like why they might be doing this compared to that, or what they're going to try to counter from the other team. And I think we do that really well.
Yep.
So if you just bring somebody that doesn't have the same amount of experience or something like that, it might just kind of derail it.
No, and that makes a ton of sense. And I mean, Zach, Casey, I mean, you guys remember from playing in CPA and especially playing on the webcast field that the bunkers were different colors based on where they are on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's something that we talked about with Nick, and it's tough to do because you really, in order to get the bunkers for that layout, you need to know what the layout is.
Yeah.
Way, way far in advance.
Yeah.
And I mean, have you guys had the discussion of trying to make the webcast field to do something like that? But I mean, with that in mind, you basically have to plan out what the 5 layouts for the year are going to be before the season even starts.
Yeah. And on top of that, it'd be really expensive. Luckily,
that would be
PA just orders the fields for it. If that's something
they used to.
Yeah.
They didn't do it the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. But if that's something people think would help, because I know when we change camera angles, I guess it could get confusing. If that's something people think would actually help that much, or like parents or like older people that can't really keep up with it, we could just get like grass paint. Like it wouldn't be that hard to just paint grass paint for the back line, like white along it, and then like orange or something around like the 20s or 30s, and then just red along the 50s. And it would almost
kind of like MPPL did, where they did the lines.
Yeah, it'd be something super easy to be able to do. And
I have another idea for that, Zach.
Oh, okay.
We don't even have to paint.
Were you going to think about the flags? Because that was my first thought, and then I realized I'm going to catch
it. All in camera.
I was about to say, Rob, now that you brought up the MPPL, so people always say that it's like hard to film. You know, it's hard to like put a production together and make things happen. I think that that's complete BS because the fact that, I mean, of course, it was ESPN. Yeah, it was this back in the day and all that stuff. But like just looking at the way that they presented it, the angles and like the way they spoke about it and just little things, like you said, the red zone, like that's what it was called, the red zone. You know, everyone could pretty much break down like anyone in this little area of red, like in it just, I think that there's just different ways to present it. And I think that's a really good idea. Like Zach just said, the field paint, just little things like that. Like there are definitely ways to present it to the world to where it's not just, 5-on-5 and you don't have any idea what's happening. Like, trying to make
there's no clear objective. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Especially with split deck. I wish split deck wasn't a thing, but it makes sense for time.
Yeah. I didn't like split deck at first, but I started liking it more and more. But I think that's because I became more and more out of shape as I got older. So like the
as you just come back from the gym.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, dude, cardio's trash. Can't do it anymore.
You've never seen Zach at a paintball tournament.
Okay.
I have.
Playing a paintball
I have.
tournament.
I watched. I taking pictures of him playing with
Casey
the ducks.
remembers
No.
me from like the lamps. Casey does not remember the heyday of the old CFPS. Dan remembers him used to play.
No, I'm talking
It's not me,
about
man. Can't do it.
MVPS.
Yeah. I died.
CFP Pro Shop.
Yeah, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
where Zach hangs out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, somebody needed to go win the match. All right. Nobody else was. You guys want to step on the field, B team?
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't at that event. So.
Don't start chirping that. There's somebody got film of it too. I think it was actually you guys.
Oh, but what happened?
Oh, no, it wasn't. It was Birdman Productions got the footage of it.
Oh, when you were laying in the corner?
When I won a 1-on-3 to beat what was the team name? The team name that we like 6-0'd because they were like, we didn't hit the buzzer.
Oh, that was TNB. TNB.
That's what I'm saying. Like, oh, you were really tired. My bad. I had to go run 3 people down. A little tiring, right? It was real hot. And that was after, like Dan said, our 3 back-to-back matches.
Yeah.
I was done. I was over it.
I mean, that was like a point that we didn't realize our match was starting. I didn't have pods filled, ran out on the field with a bag of paint.
I was going to say, Casey Ryan loaded paint bags, actually.
Yeah. That was all of us. That was all of us.
We were walking back from the CFP like warehouse, and somebody was like, hey, like lamps, you guys, right? We're like, yeah. Like, oh, you're playing. It's like the second point. You should run over there. And you're like, we'll get there.
Hey,
And
guys,
we were like, there were like 4 of us, and we only have 7 people on the roster, so they're playing with 3. We're like, they're
this
fine.
isn't a
Like,
playing podcast.
they'll figure it out. What did you just say?
This isn't a playing podcast, but that's how the dream team started.
My bad.
So
Yeah.
All right, somebody wanted to chirp. Don't chirp if you don't want to get chirped back.
Fair enough. I mean, talking about
Workout's still hitting right now.
talking about like old playing stories and stuff. I mean, I've played with a penalty box. Casey, you've played with a penalty box. Zach, you've played with a penalty box. I mean, from a spectator sport, I mean, starting down bodies for the next point in this split deck, I understand why they do it, but do you think that bringing back the penalty box as an element to the game would make the game a little bit more interesting to watch? Because it does bring a very different dynamic, and especially if you're a good team and you go down bodies, you put somebody in the box, and then you actually grind it out so that that body does come back out of the box. It changes it up. You could be down playing a 2-on-3 with somebody in the box, shoot somebody, and then you have your third body, have that body come out of the box, and now it's a 3-on-2 and it swings the other way. That's a huge upset. I mean, so I'd like to hear your opinions about this, especially since the vast majority of us have actually played with a penalty box, and most people don't even know that penalty boxes even existed.
I think a penalty box would be cool to add back, but I feel like with the current point of where tournament paintball is, it would be hard to add it back. But for the viewers, it definitely adds like this guy comes out in 5 seconds. Like, what's going to happen? Is the team just going to post up on the box, or are they going to hang the flag and save the time for the 5 seconds still in the box so they start down the point with one less body? Because I know, like, college paintball wise, like, that was always something you had to play in your head. And on the webcast, it was always like a big deal if we're going to smoke the dude coming out of the box or hang the flag kind of deal.
Yeah, and it's definitely, it's like there's 10 seconds left. Do you want to go start off 5-on-4, or do you just kind of want to wait it out and just like exactly what you said? Yeah,
just let the guy know who's daddy.
Yeah, because I mean that's a huge intimidation like tactic, and like I know I've done it. My team has done it. I know you guys have done it. Like there's a certain feeling that you get when you have four or five bodies up, and you're waiting for that body to come out of the box.
And it's a lot worse when you're the one standing in the box staring at the net, and then you hear the crowd start screaming, "Shoot the box!" and then just 4 guys are shooting 15 balls a second at the box. And you're standing on the other side, like, those are good times.
I don't know how you put the penalty box in and keep it not split deck.
Yeah, I think there's no way.
I think penalties are good where they are. I think if we want to get more spectators and turn it more into a spectator sport, you have to bring back sideline coaching.
So
I know
I think
a lot of people don't like sideline coaching because they say like, oh, you just like joystick players like that. Like a joystick player in the way the game's played today isn't going to do well. Like they're going to be too like you just need to bring it back so you can yell at people on the field. You have to.
Oh, totally.
I think that's one thing. Yeah, go for it.
I think another thing, kind of like what Go Sports did with the Ultimate Shootout, but instead of one-on-ones, is like add a separate objective into the match so people can watch it. Because to be honest, watching an X-Ball match currently is a team eliminating the whole entire team and then hanging the flag kind of deal or pressing the buzzer. If there's another objective that the team has to get to, press the button, they get another point or something just for reaching that objective, I think that would add another angle.
The sport used to have that. It wasn't always buzzer. They did it like the TM40 event where you guys first to grab the flag, every person eliminated, bodies alive. That's how the sport used to be. And back then it was on ESPN. It was a spectacle.
Exactly. But that's why it moved away.
Yeah, I feel like with the electronic guns and stuff becoming as popular as they were, with X-Ball becoming as popular as it was, that moved that away. But we've noticed from the TM40 event that's still a very popular format to play, popular format to stream. I don't know how many viewers you guys had, but I'm sure it was not a bad amount.
It was a constant good number.
Yeah, so it's definitely
like a Pro Tour. The 7-man. Like,
yeah.
I
mean, that was huge. Yeah. I mean, speaking of that, like, I know the HK guys, they're doing 7-man on the West Coast. Like, has 7-man been a talking point for the MVPS? Whether it's going to be like at the normal MVPS or like there's going to be other 7-man events. I mean, because that's a lot of people that I know is like they really enjoy playing 7-man, but they don't like playing X-Ball. And there's a lot of people that like playing X-Ball, but they don't really like playing 7-man because they're very different. And anybody that says they're basically the same thing hasn't played both, and they really don't know how both are really played.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead.
So MVPS actually has done 7-man.
Really? I didn't know that.
The very first event that was ever held at Austin Tyndall back in 2017, I want to say, that was the first event. We were called Z&T Squad that we played. But there was 7-man at that event. And I think the issue with it was back then was there wasn't enough teams to, make it logistically sound kind of deal. And also the league has grown so much. So
I think it'd be cool. Speaking on history, like he said, there's not enough teams, is everyone always brings up like, oh, I want to play a 7-man event. We should do a 7-man series. This has been trying to happen in Florida for like a decade. Like literally since I started playing paintball down here, people always wanted to do a 7-man series. I even remember CFPS. It got hyped up for like months. We're going to do a 7-man event. And 12 teams signed up. And everyone was like, oh, well, it needs to be unranked. So other older players will play it. It was unranked. They did an unranked 10-man event that was huge. But even huge back then was like, Dan, you played with RCK played, and I played with the old CFP guys. That was a really, really fun event. Yeah, I honestly think 10-man's like way superior to 7-man. 10-man's way more fun. You get more of your friends.
It's only 3 more buddies.
Well,
I remember. I would say that 7-man back in the day, though, was different because the fields were different.
Yeah.
It was like, I feel like when people back in the day, when you played on a 7-man field, I mean, you literally showed up to the event. You had to walk each field. And I feel like that's what really people that played that back in the day would really develop like the mental game. Because it did play a little bit slower, but I feel like you got really smart at certain things where X-Ball is just a lot of go, go, go. So you get more like the aggressive aspect. And I feel like, I don't know, it's just like Zach said, like it's hard to get people to commit to a 7-man event. And maybe it's because it's just not the same thing, I don't know. It's just hard because like you said, like it's been in the talks forever and everyone always says that they want to do it. And then when the registration opens up, no one ever signs up.
Yeah.
Doesn't in New England, don't they have something up north that weren't they do a 7-man for a little bit, or am I thinking of something else?
I think they did have something a few years ago. I don't really remember how many? I thought they had a decent amount of teams. It was like a 7-man league, wasn't it? Is that what you're talking?
I thought Rob might know about it. There was nothing 7-man up north a while back.
Maybe in like the New England area, but I don't know. I mean, those guys, like what you guys have down at MVPS is like this huge, this huge, like, I don't want to even, like, almost kind of like a cult following. Like those who play MVPS for the most part really play MVPS, and it's like you want to be the best in Florida.
Oh, totally.
100%.
New England, like the Connecticut, Boston, Maine, like that whole area. That is very big up there. And Dave Painter, who
Shout out Painter,
great guy, who ran Foxball, sad to see that Fox 4 paintball is closing, but a lot of teams played Foxball, and it wasn't your typical event to event. You played a full season. You played 10.
I was about to say,
You played 10 matches through the season, and then you played finals, which was like an actual like event. But all those guys, they just wanted to be the best in New England, and they played Foxball. So it's kind of crazy how you see that, and like a lot of those guys, they don't even care about NXL. Like I know a lot of the people that play MVPS, like they still care about NXL. They'll try to go to like 1 or 2, and especially since MVPS is in Florida and World Cup is in Florida, all these people still play World Cup. A lot of the people that play Foxball and stuff, like they just play Foxball.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And you'll have some teams that are super, super serious, and then you have guys that are like crushing beer all day. I mean, I played a couple of years ago with the Pirates, and we played in full Adidas tracksuits.
I remember that.
Yep.
Did you played with some of the Ducks guys, right?
Yeah, we were.
I remember Jack in those pictures and Shay. Yeah, that's
Jack, Shay.
I really wanted to go up there to play one of those. Those looked so fun.
Oh, dude.
Tracksuits, white box paint. That sounds like a good ass event.
Yeah.
It was an absolute blast, and the way he did it was like modified NXL rules. So we played the D3 version, but it's 17-minute matches, no mercy rule.
That's all.
Mm-hmm. That's where it's at. That's the best paintball.
That seems like that would be a lot of fun too, because it's not. It's still serious, but you play like the whole season. So you play like, what is it, like 2 matches every couple months or something, and then at the end, see, that could be a lot of fun.
And on top of that, because she started getting teams coming from out of state a lot, there's actually a team that was flying in from Germany, and it was cheaper to come play Foxball and fly in from Germany twice, potentially 3 times to play the season. It was cheaper than playing one like Millennium event.
Yeah.
So if you talk to Dave before he would make the schedule, he says, if you have anything with the schedule, these are going to be the dates that we're playing. Please talk to me and I'll help work the schedule, because it's a season long thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be some guys coming in. It's like, I play 2 matches like just one day, and then there are other teams who be like, I have 5 or 6 matches over the course of the weekend, but I'm only coming to Fox for like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
It was a really interesting way of how he did it, and kind of there was a prize for winning the season, and then for finals there's another prize. So
only NFL can do that.
So I have a question for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be something to be great if we can start converting more out-of-state teams or even out-of-country teams over to MVPS. I know I've talked to a lot of the Northeast guys, the Ducks guys. They've always said they want to come down and play the MVPS just because of the competition alone, honestly. Like when you look at the teams that place in MVPS, like these are the teams that are placing in NXL.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of leagues like want to try to talk shit or whatever about like, oh, like the competition's here, the competition's there. Like it's not. Like when you look at the teams that place and the teams that play really well in national leagues, like they're playing MVPS right now.
Yeah. I mean, Killers won D2 at MVPS, then went and won Vegas.
That's what I'm saying. Like
and they were playing against Lockdown, another
team. Like the teams are so it'd be really nice to see more teams want to come down and play. Like that'd be great. I'm not sure what we need to do to try to figure that out. I know I talked to the Ducks guys about trying to get them down a lot. It's difficult, like when a team wants to prepare and try to set up to go. Yeah. When a team wants to try to set up and go and play NXL for the year or, play one event here, that it's kind of hard to argue whether they want to play one or the other.
So Rob, for up north, I mean, what do people up north say about things like that? Because we always talk about the MVPS, like us as players, now that we've been to so many different leagues, like the MVPS, as if I was to take myself out of the equation and like think of it as a bystander, MVPS is the best, I'd say, prize package for the cost. We have media coverage, all this little stuff. It's like, what do you think the difference is to be made for NXL to like be worth it? You know, like what's drawing people to NXL over the local leagues?
Oh, I mean, that's easy. People are drawn to NXL. It's a pride thing. Plain simple in fact. I mean, if you look at what entry costs and what prize packages are, if you win, you just basically get your entry money back.
Yeah.
But when you win NXL, you are now the best in the country at that division. And that's really what it is. And you guys, I know Zach knows this, but I don't know, Dan, Casey, if you know this, but I'm also a part owner of Kinetic Paintball, and my partner and I, we're thinking of trying to make a league that there is no one centralized league nationally. There is like the national circuit, and then you have these regional leagues, and like the regional leagues are like associated to this national circuit, but there isn't one like overarching this is the national league. Wherever you play, your points count towards your ranking and seeding nationally. Think of it almost kind of like you almost think of it like NCPA or like college football. Like even though you play in your regions, how you do in your region seeds you for how you play nationally. If you don't play NXL at all, the first time you come into NXL, you're going to be seated at the bottom of your division because you haven't played it, and you won't get reseeded until after you play that. But really, if I have a group of guys, we'll say from MVPS, that they are constant winners, you know, I mean, if they're constantly winning D3, but they go to NXL and they're seeded last because they never played D3 at NXL, are they really seeded correctly? You know what I mean? So it's how, from a league standpoint, is how do you bridge that gap and how do you make the consistency across all regions at the national level, even though I might not be playing nationally? Because like you said, you have some of these great teams that play MVPS, but they just only play MVPS. But they may be better than people that play in like MSXL or WC or any of the leagues in the Northeast, and vice versa. You might have teams that only play Foxball with their friends and that they do well, or TSXL. Like I have my friends that play on this team called Leverage out of New Jersey.
Rob,
they've won.
Getting really off in tangent.
It's okay. We're talking about leagues.
Okay.
But they're really good, but they may play one NXL. Like, and I would love to see them come down to MVPS and play MVPS. And actually, they're in the process of trying to get invited to come play NRPL down in Maryland. But having teams go from league to league and almost seeing that, like, if you haven't seen that name before, like you're gonna assume it's like you're probably bad, or I'm gonna look you up on PB leagues and see how you did and then assess you like that. But there's no true comparison.
I think that's a ranking system failure more than it is like a league failure, right? Because you're talking about like, oh, well, team does really good in this league, and then like we don't really know how they're going to compete or how they'll like stand in this league. That's just the ranking system of APPA or PB leagues now is a little wonky.
I think they go hand in hand though.
Yeah.
I suppose, but I know there's a lot of leagues, like you're saying, where like they will be APPA ranked and they'll be like D2 division with like 4 teams will run, and then some random team will get D2 points, and then they show up at World Cup and now they're ranked semi-pro and they get absolutely dumpstered. And everyone's like, wow, these guys were ranked D2. What happened? It's like, oh, well, you went and played like Joe's backyard ball with like pallets in his backyard that somehow got APPA ranked. And then like now this is your rank for the rest of your life. So I think that I get what you're saying for sure. I think APPA just needs, I think previously they actually did a ranking set. Old school 5-man, I think, did this even with CFPS, where your points was based off of how many teams were entered into the division. I think Dan might be able to speak to that too. I don't know if that's how it still is.
Yeah, it was.
But I think like that should probably happen for local X-ball leagues. You know, if there's some reason where like your D3
I'm
X
almost
ball,
positive that's how it works.
yeah, still.
I don't know if it's like I said,
Yeah,
I don't know how PB Leagues works, but I know that it had to be like over 8 teams to be worth the full amount of kind of thing.
Okay. And that might just be a multiplier problem.
That formula.
Because I know D2 I think is 16 times points, right? Or is it 32 and semi-pro 64? It's 16 or 32 for D2. And like that just needs to be lowered for events that don't have a lot of teams. Same with D3. You know what I mean? Like that way there's not some crazy discrepancy between leagues when teams try to come over.
Yeah.
I could talk all day about why PB Leagues is broken though. So don't get me on that.
Yeah, we don't want to get into a ban. Just so everyone knows, I'm not associated with any of that talk.
Sam.
These views are all my own. They're not MVPSs.
Shush. So there's one thing that's a question to you guys, but the first thing I want to say is a statement. Can we just get an event where it's literally just the top 3 from every division, from every regional league? So top 3 WC, top 3, and I'm talking about D5, D4, all that, and just have them play, and then finally whoever has the best players, that's the league. You know,
I mean,
like
kind of World Cup, right?
I know O'Neill and Zach and Pena already called out the West Coast to come play the East Coast. So really it's just waiting on the West Coast to man up and come play some of these Florida teams, because these Florida teams I think are the best.
I know we sent some Florida teams over to WCPPL, but that was like years ago. I think Dan played with the Vipers. That's just, it's a long way. That's a long flight. I'm not flying to California.
I would say they're the only other local league I've been to that actually it's like a great run event. Like Mike Hinman out there, shout out Mike Hinman, because I went out there 10 years ago and like,
we talked to him.
I can say that I went out there for the last event. Very well run, like crazy. Like, it was very smooth. They had like 70 teams and they had them done by like 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's a nonprofit event.
Yeah. Very smooth. So the question I had for you guys, I'm not really calling out any leagues specifically because there's been so many in Florida alone, but it seems like leagues in Florida are here to die. And I know not you guys, not MVPS, not I mean, it seems like you guys have a pretty good solid footing, and it doesn't seem like it. You guys do have a solid footing. Every single team in Florida comes and plays you guys. So why is it that pretty much every other league, for the most part, you know, there's like SPLs around and stuff like that, but predecessors, why have they died? What do you think it is about Florida that makes it leagues just not do well?
Good leagues don't die, right?
Yeah.
I guess we can't really speak to CFPS, but back when like me and Dan played on the CFP teams, like it was inarguable that CFPS had the best reffing staff like in the country. Like it was reffed so much better than the PSP at the time that like everybody came to play it. Right, like the reffing staff and the administration staff like was PSP run staff that was the best of the best there, and then like we reffed it. So you really need to get players that ref, and luckily MVPS has been doing more and more of that too, where they get like you really need people that understand the game to ref the game. It's really hard to try to train people and make the correct calls.
One big thing I think that the MVPS is prospering on is the reffing crews that have been there. Pretty much every single head ref that refs at a field is a PSP or not PSP, NXL head ref, either head ref or head ref in the good ones. And so they know the calls. They've been reffing their whole entire life or whole entire paintball career. That's all they know paintball. That's what they eat, breathe, sleep is reffing paintball.
Yeah. And I would say a lot of times, like a lot of the comments that we do get after every event is everyone comments on the reffing, because like we've all played in all sorts of different leagues and things like that. Like there are some bad reffing crews out there, like really, really bad. And to the point where you literally don't even know if they've ever played paintball in their life. And like things like that make a huge difference. You know, what, like you're paying thousands and thousands of dollars. Like I'm sure Zach and like all of us have been there. Like you've been to an event where you try and ask a ref like a question and they literally have no clue what the hell is going on. You know, like that ruins your whole event, because now in your head, you're like, this guy doesn't even like, well, what's the point? So I think the reffing really makes a difference in our league, at least because we're really close knit. I feel like everyone that's in our league that like it's part of the MVPS, we're all so close that it's like, it's really easy to keep track and like keep count of everyone and make sure everyone's doing their job correctly because we're all, close with each other.
And like Dan's saying, like we've all been there. Like everyone that's in the staff is people that have been playing paintball for like over a decade. And I mean, refs make mistakes, that happens.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is just trying to minimize like how many mistakes a ref crew is going to make. And really, I think MVPS has done like a fantastic job at minimizing like the refs that are on the field who have a possibility of making that mistake. So of course, sometimes people do make mistakes, and it gets tough too, because heads start to clash and like people start to clash. When it gets hot, people get angry. Like it's nobody's fault. It's not a ref's fault. It's not the player's fault. It's just hot out. You're hot out. You've been playing all day, and you think somebody messed up a call, or you think that they threw a call that was undeserved. A lot of times what happens is like the call is totally deserved. You just disagree with it. Like we've all been there. I'm going to argue for my life that you made the wrong call, even if I know that it was the right call, because like I just want to try to overturn it. The amount of times I've seen calls overturned in my lifetime of playing paintball is like 2 for like 10 years. And that's because like they literally shut down the event. That stuff's not going to happen. In reality, what happened is the call's correct. You're just mad that they caught you, or you're mad that it happened to your team and they accidentally didn't catch it on the other team. So it really just comes down to trying to minimize like how many times that can happen.
I think that's So the mediators would be like the ultimate refs. So like Restock, Luke Harbaugh, and then Alex Udell. If there's an issue on the field, yes, you discuss it with the head ref first. But then like those 3 guys, if there's a bigger issue that like a player superheated about, or a coach, like they'll come over and talk to them and not disturb the actual gameplay that's on the field, which I think is a major key.
And to go a little bit further on that too, really the only time you're ever going to see something change is if like a scoreboard broke. That's the only time I've ever seen anything like that happen, where at the PSP it rained and then the scoreboards inadvertently stopped and they tried to restart the point. And the argument was like, well, paintball happened. Like I shot 3 of your dudes. You don't get to just put them back on the field.
Yeah.
Right? Like restart the point in the props with about the amount of time left. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Not like you threw a major on me, I want to overturn. Like, dude, that call's gone. You know what I mean? Like you better hope that you can win that point now, or like something like that.
So to bring it all back and answer that question, reffing, I think, really stands apart from everyone for sure.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. But Sam, please go.
Jonathan Aflalo, a huge shout out to him for doing what he does for South Florida Paintball, kind of keeping it alive. He did say a good point, which is people get ranked too high, and that's kind of why the leagues die. And do you think that that's just what happens, like inevitably, like everyone plays the same league? Eventually, everyone's going to play MVPS and then excel so much that they can't play anymore, and there's just not enough new talent coming in?
Absolutely. And I think that comes down to an error on the PSP's part for why people are ranked so high currently from like 6 years ago, when they decided to make pro into 2 separate leagues, into like Silver Pro or whatever it was called.
The Champions and Challengers.
And Challengers. That like today has sent ripples throughout the paintball community that has ruined local leagues. Right. So when you put 10 Challenger pro teams in, like pro teams, and then they start getting D1 or pro points, and they're not pro caliber players, they're no longer allowed to play upper divisional, like local leagues, or even upper divisional national leagues. Right. So you're now like pulling these kids away from local leagues that will never be able to return. And what happens is that the kids that are now even worse than them go up a rank to fill the void of teams that are now in D2. So really all that did like 5 years ago was move a whole bunch of people who should never have been ranked higher up a division. And I mean, you see what happens now is look how many people stopped playing paintball. And like you said, like, look how many leagues died. Like, I mean, I can go on forever about that. That was like one of the biggest issues, where they should never have given half of these teams those points. And you can see it too, when they started inviting like random teams into pro. I don't want to say random, right? Like these were good teams, but like you're not pro caliber.
Yeah.
Right. Like everybody wants to be pro, but like, dude, what are you doing? Like, like you guys are getting trashed up there. Why would you want to go do that to yourself?
Because they're playing pro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what it is. And he's totally right. It's a lot of people got ranked too high to play local anymore. And it just comes down to when they decided to make that choice nationally to try. I mean, I think I get what they were doing, right? They wanted to get more viewers into it. They wanted to try to say, oh, like, look how many pro teams we have. It's a big deal, which it was like a decent idea. But I mean, I don't know. I don't agree with the way that they went about that. And I think it kind of ruined a lot of players' ranks. Like we personally know people that's happened to who like can't play paintball anymore. They can't play with their friends, right? And it's not really their fault, but they're not necessarily good enough to get a spot on like local pro teams now, let alone like those most pro teams now are just clicky where it doesn't even matter if you're better than somebody, you're not going to get the spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's teams that have been around since their inception that have mostly the same players. It's hard to get on those teams.
Yeah.
Dynasty
I mean,
pretty much the one I'm talking about. Like, good
that's
luck.
most.
What are you talking about, Sam?
That's most.
You know what I'm talking about. There's been like 2 or 3 new people added to Dynasty in the last like 5 years.
I didn't even think that's who you were talking about. So never mind.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at, I've said before. I mean, like private. I've said it publicly. I don't know if I said it on MVPS, but probably if these pro or if a new pro team, an actual organization held like a pro tryout, like a lot of the dudes that are on pro teams probably wouldn't make that team. Right. Like a lot of people are still on rosters and pro because like they've played long enough and like they're good, but like they're not going to get the shot. You know what I mean? It just comes down to kind of grandfathered in, I guess. But like you said, it's really hard to break into those spots now, and it's kind of ruined a lot of lower leagues for it.
So what Jonathan says he was talking about was more like playing through the ranks. He pretty much all the teams, all the players are playing through to the point where there's not enough people to take their spots, and that's why it's getting smaller and smaller.
Oh, well, that's literally why there is a D2 division at the MVPS this season, because the top teams that ranked up wanted to play D2, but they didn't want to travel to play D2.
Yeah,
D2 is created.
The D2 division, it's difficult because everyone could have up to like a D3 division, because at the D3 level is like when you're competitive, but you still haven't put the amount of time, I guess, that some of the other teams have. Once you start playing in D3, and I feel like there's a lot of teams that it is kind of why Florida paintball has like come and gone. That why paintball in general is like, you get to the point where like you're all hyped and you're with your friends and you're growing and you're growing and you're growing. And then all of a sudden you start realizing you're like, wait a second, I'm paying $1,500 to go play this event. It's not really worth it. And then you get ranked up and now it's like, oh, okay, well now I have literally nothing else that I'm even allowed to play unless I go to this event and start spending thousands of dollars. And then you're like, what's the point? And I feel like 95% of our friend group that is like still involved with paintball just because we love it. But that's the reason that we're not still playing is exactly that. Is like we had nowhere to go for years. Like I was ranked D1 for like 3 years. Like you can't do anything. Like you're either playing D1 or you're not playing. You know, it's like you're not doing anything.
Or you just saw
your fill that middle void of like D2 is like D3 to D2. That little middle void is just it's hard. It's just like that's that turnaround. Like once they get into D2, I feel like that's when teams just drop off.
Yeah. Or you got good enough and then saw your team get scalped by an organization that just lied to players. And then like that was a pretty shitty thing to do. But he might be saying, John might also be saying like there's not enough players to fill the positions that those other teams are ranking out of, which is true. Like, you know, paintball isn't a cheap sport. It's unfortunate. It's not how it used to be. I mean, even when I started playing, like we were able to get, you want to say like sponsorships, but like when I first started playing on like a random D5 team, like it wasn't crazy expensive for us to get like a gear sponsorship and a paint deal, and then like have people actually help us out. Which shout out, it was like Aaron Vega and Tiki's Paintball that first like helped me get into paintball. And I was actually going to bring up like his old organization that's still around, Revolution. They did really, really well at bringing in new paintball players to like fill and have like new people come into the sport and then play even like D6 3-man. Like they were really big in that, and then like D5 5-man. Stuff like that. Speaking of
Elias Rodriguez.
Yeah. But they've been really good. You know, we kind of just need organizations, I guess, to step up, or just people who want to get into the sport and just play more. That's really all it is, right? Like if you have 5 friends and you want to play, just go play D5 5-man and get into it. I remember when we played CFPS, there were kids out there with like Titmans, like for real. Like I'm not in blue jeans, right? Like they just wanted to play.
My first event, I saw a guy play with a die dam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun though.
I mean, we've talked about leagues, we talked about players being ranked out. I mean, if we've kind of been all over the spectrum, and it's been really good. It's been really good to hear like all these different perspectives, especially since Dan, you've played at such a high level. Zach, you've also played at a high level. Casey, I don't know about how high a level you played at, but you've also played on the other side of the spectrum. Like you've played in college, you know what I mean? Like we've kind of collectively between the five of us, we've kind of been all over the place. And we've also been all over the place on the media side. Sam and I, we both do photography and videography. Casey and Dan, you've done the same thing, and now you guys are running a webcast. I mean,
so is Zach, actually. We haven't really touched on that, but I've seen Zach pick up a camera a few times.
Good time.
few times.
Not as much as you guys.
Yeah, but I mean, I how much do you guys think has, I guess, independent media have made an impact on tournament paintball and getting people interested in paintball? I mean, I remember when I first started playing that I watched like some Cassidy Sanders videos and like some Dirter videos and things like that. Like these non-league media groups put
DQ, yeah,
absolutely
DQ,
instrumental.
I mean the end is like one of the most epic paintball videos of all time. I mean, I forgot who we talked about with this, Sam, but like if it wasn't for Cassidy Sanders, HK would not be as popular as they are. Cassidy Sanders made HK cool. 100%. Like DQ made me want to go play paintball in Florida. And like he made me interested in the Viper organization and want to learn more about them. I mean, like how pivotal do you guys think that these independent media people are? And do you think that they get enough credit? I mean, there's now so many media people out there across the country that are just doing photography. Some people are doing video, and like you have like your superstars, like I'll throw out Yosh Designs. I mean, he does incredible work. And he now does some work for like Go Sports and stuff. But I feel like these people that do incredible work, like they get cherry picked by these major companies.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for their earlier work, I don't want to say they wouldn't get cherry picked, because I definitely think they would. But do you think that it would be better it would almost be better for paintball and paintball media that they stay independent instead of going to go work for Go Sports or like one of these other major companies?
So I think early on, when we're talking like 10 years ago or 8 years ago, like independent media, like people like you guys were absolutely instrumental in like keeping paintball, like the hype around it. Or like, I mean, people might not want to admit it, but like a lot of people went out to practice every weekend so they could like make sure they got good pictures. You know what I mean? Like that was like, you saw like kids that looked good and like looked cool, or like the DQ videos. Like when I grew up playing paintball, like, or even when I first started, like DQ videos, like that was the shit. Like that was like, those were awesome to watch. I remember like our first World Cup we went to, everybody went to the DQ booth to go buy the DVD to watch it that night. Like that was it. Like everybody went there. And then even World Cup where they did the like preview, or not the preview, they did a showing of the new DQ. Right. Like they rented out a movie theater that was full of paintball players during World Cup. I think that was absolutely instrumental in like getting kids to like want to go out and play paintball. Cause I mean, I was like 17. Like wasn't really doing anything else. Like that was like, oh yeah, I want to go do that. That looks sweet. And it like, to speak to them getting cherry picked, that's probably good now because there's enough media to go around. And they do like really good at probably promoting the sport with the Go Sports stuff. Like they do a lot of really cool, like small clips on Instagram and like their YouTube, and they do like the Go Sports feed is like really, really well ran. And it's all run by those guys, like you said, that pretty much got cherry picked. And same with the companies. Like they put out really good media. It's unfortunate that they got some of the people they did, so they can't continue to do more independent stuff. But there's been people that fill the spots like you guys that can fill the spots and keep up the same quality and production.
I would say with that, like the reason I got into just media in general was like DQ and Cassidy Sanders. Like that's what made me want to start doing this stuff. And then like now I'm where I'm at, which is pretty cool. But I think like the cherry picking stuff, like the NXL media, I mean, technically they're cherry picked, but at the same time, they're their own separate entity. So
Rob, were you around for like the Old Bay guys back in the day?
Yeah, I was honestly gonna lead into like my final question. Like
Jack
photo mob.
was the reason I first wanted to start taking pictures. Like legitimately, like his pictures were on another level.
Yeah, Brad is incredible. I love Brad's work.
Too.
Brad, Matt D, like the whole photo mob was just they brought this wave of independent media providers, but I don't want to say unionized them because I don't think that's what it was, but it's they brought this media collective, so it's like, hey, photo mob is going to be at PSB or MPPL. Is like I could go 0-4, get completely wrecked, but I get a picture from the photo mob or Matt D, still a good event. Doesn't matter, still a good event. And now with so many media providers, I mean, World Cup last year, there was like 120 media passes given out, something like that. I remember Gary Baum posted about it. Sam, correct me if I'm wrong. Like there's so many people now that it's so saturated, and it's much easier to get hired, and it's good, especially from Sam and I's perspective. Like it costs money to go to NXL events, so we need to be able to cover our costs and then try to make some on top of that. But that feeling of, hey, I got one cool picture, you know what I mean? It's like that helped make my event. Like that feeling doesn't really come around anymore. And it's something that Sam keeps pulling up his shirt is with
stretching.
It's covering up that red face.
Yeah. It's something that we're doing with the Media Gang. So, I mean, you guys are on the Media Gang podcast. Do you know what we're trying to do with this? Like, have you guys heard about this before? Like,
you're giving up. You guys have a good little. You guys have basically some of the best photographers in the game, and it gives you it gives people like you a place to be able to kind of put your work out there, together, but at the same time you guys each do individual work, right? Like you guys pick up teams individually. And then kind of if you don't have, like, let's say, Rob, you don't have an empty spot, but then you might offer it, I'm assuming like maybe to Sam or something like that, like if they're able to do it, but you guys kind of work off each other when you need stuff like that.
Yeah, no. And that's exactly what it is. It's the Media Gang is essentially supposed to it's the group of guys that are at every single event. And girl, thank you. When she decides to come back from Germany, we're
by the way.
What?
What's her name? I know
Nina.
Oh, her pictures are fire.
Yeah, her pictures are amazing.
Great.
I don't think she's coming back from Germany anytime soon, since I'm pretty much quarantined from the rest of the world.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, no one's allowed in or out.
Yeah, she was here for like 3 months.
Oh yeah, after
Vegas.
Yeah, she was chilling in California for a couple months. Her flights kept getting canceled and stuff. It was really unfortunate. But yeah, like that's what we tried to do, is like we as the Media Gang, like these are the people that are at least 3 events, if not every single NXL event. Like we will be having a presence. Stretch, Fava, Pineapple Productions, Sam,
so
Bryce when he's not being broke.
Oh my God.
I have a question about that. So I don't know, you might remember it, Rob. Previously, during the PSP, a group of photographers tried to do something like that.
Photo mob.
Where was it? I'm not
like Skip's picks and
there were a lot of people, and what happened was I think they got to do it for like one event, and then I don't remember if it was the PSP. I think it was the PSP back then, not the NXL. Like shut it down.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Arguing they raised the prices, wasn't it?
They had argued that everybody needs to pay their own media pass, even though they came like collaboratively together to work underneath one company. So it seems like it's very similar to kind of what you guys are doing now, which like I totally support. It's absolutely something that you guys should probably be doing. But are they allowing you to still take photos under one media pass, considering you're one company?
So no, and that's something that I've always like hawked on, is that we're not one company. We are all independent, but we are coming to events as a collective. So like if somebody's trying to get hired and they message the Media Gang page saying, hey, I'm looking to book a photographer or videographer for, let's say, World Cup. we then come to them as like, these are the list of the people from the media gang that will be at World Cup. So now it's like, hey, I don't really know who to hire, and especially for teams that are only do like one NXL event a year, it's like, if their local photographer isn't going to that event, it's like I don't know who's available, because as much as
Okay.
the beauty of social media is like, and fuck PB Nation, not everybody knows who photographers are. You know what I mean? They might not be in the loop of like media that's around. So
Especially
now
those smaller local teams, yeah.
exactly. So now we're able to say, hey, you got to reach out to these. At World Cup, we had 11 photographers in the house. In Vegas, we had 13. I think
That's awesome, dude.
I think for Dallas, we were about to be at like 15.
So, are you comfortable with me asking why you don't want to do that?
Yeah. So
I kind of can speak on this too, if you want.
Sure.
Yeah. Sam, please go right ahead.
So you got to think about who's part of it. You have Nina shoots pro, Stretch shoots pro. I sometimes shoot pro. Bava shoots pro. Like right there, that's 4 people.
Right.
You can only have, as a platinum sponsor, a maximum of 2 pro passes.
Says who?
So, that's
it's part of the platinum sponsor package.
So
you're saying for media?
Yep.
No.
You can have 2. Yeah. If you're a platinum sponsor, which if you
for the league, if you're a platinum sponsor for the league, you get 2 pro passes.
Okay, but I mean, like you guys aren't.
I know what you're saying.
Okay.
The thing is, if we sign up as a company, we could have 1 person under there unless we start sponsoring the league. At least that's from what I understand. I don't know if Dad himself is here, but as far as I understand, we can only have 1 person in divisionals. So we would have to start sponsoring the league to start getting more passes. If we became a platinum sponsor, we'd still only have 2 passes, and we wouldn't be able to give it out to everybody that is on the field usually. That's why we have guys that work for Virtue, guys that work for not Social, but Virtue, HK,
Planet,
pretty much every Planet Eclipse, every company, because they get on the pro pass with that.
I mean, I know for a fact that I see media companies that have more than 1 photographer.
Skirmish is the only one I can tell.
3 on a field to film something. Yeah. So like, how exactly are they getting away with that without Skirmish the NXL coming to say that they're platinum sponsors?
So I assume you're talking about Skirmish because they're the only ones that really are doing it. They've been around since before Gary Baum.
Yeah, they're the only media group that has been here before Gary.
So the NXL says that if you guys wanted to come together as a company like LLC, you wouldn't be allowed to have more than 2 photographers unless you're a platinum sponsor. Or even if you became a platinum sponsor, you could only have 2.
If you're a platinum sponsor, you can have as many divisional as you want.
Right.
But only 2 pro. And there's more than 2 pro shooters.
And on top of that,
I'm sure they get, I'm sure like Fava and stuff are fine. They want to work with Planet Eclipse and all that. So like there is more to it besides just them not being able to happen.
Right.
But like if we did decide to go just the company, we just want us route, there's not enough pro passes for the people that need them.
That's super interesting.
And on top of that, everybody has their own connections.
Right. Like, I can understand.
Yeah.
Like Sam was saying, and we don't want to ruin relationships. And something that when we were coming up with this idea was a sense of collectiveness and independence at the same time. Everybody is made, for those that have already made a name for themselves, like these big people, Nina, Stretch, Fava. It's not fair for them to be lumped into this group and not still do what they've normally be doing.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
and especially also from a pricing perspective, like we all have different prices because we all value our work at different levels, and especially based on experience and quality of work. I'm not saying if you go to any person that's in the media gang, you're going to get quality work.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Now I have a question.
Yeah.
So when you say you send them a list of all the people in the media gang, do y'all have a set rate that all of y'all charge, or is it competitive?
No. It's competitive. And that's another thing, is because Fava charges one rate, I charge a different rate. I think Sam and I might be charging the same rate. Like a lot of us will all charge around very similar rates, but we're still all independent. We all have our own individual rates. It's not like, hey, this is like if you hire anybody in the media gang, this this is the price.
It seems like you guys got the best of both worlds there, and you're basically trying to make sure that you can get the positive of being one company without all the negatives of them trying to make you or force you guys to pay all these extra things. Like that
exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, it definitely depends on it definitely sorry Rob, but definitely depends on like what everyone offers, because like Fava, I'm gonna say he's more expensive than all of us, but he offers photo. I mean, this is for Cup at least, photo and video. He takes 2 teams, he does his stuff for Planet Eclipse, and then he pretty much follows you.
And some people just take different styles too.
Yeah, and they have different styles and all that. I know that Jackson from Duo Venture, I believe he also does photo and video. Solus does photo and video, but we all have different things we do. Like if I go to Cup, I usually am only doing pictures. So there's no reason for me to charge $500 for pictures when, when for $500, Fava is doing pictures and video.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
we all generally keep in our price range that we've already had. We don't want to even it out because it's not fair to the people that are doing more work or anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and for someone like myself, like for Kinetic, part of their sponsorship package for any fully sponsored team is that they get free media at NXL events.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, if you play the full season, it's $1,250 that you save. It pays for each player's pair of pants, and I would actually be making money.
Come out on top. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like that's like I'm part of the media gang, but I don't actually offer services other than to my teams that I sponsor. So it's nice having this group collective that, and especially like when it comes from a logistical standpoint now, it used to be after what happened with PSP when, if you guys remember this, that media passes went from whatever they were to like $1,200 an event. And I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole, but like when that happened, media became very independent. Everybody tried to save as much money as you can. Like a lot of media people weren't going to events and whatnot. And it wasn't until the prices dropped back down, but it was still very individualized. So the nice thing about going to events as a team is those cost budgets, those cost savings that you have. Is like, we got a big van, we all stay in the same house, you know what I mean? Things like that. Media for the longest time, like Stretch was getting his own hotel, and everybody was getting their own hotels. Everything was separated. So now, as the wallet and financial advisor of the media gang, I am now looking at, how many people do we have? Like, I'll be looking into a house. All right, how many people do we have in the house? Like, how many cars do we realistically need? So instead of like we have 11 people, now we have 8 or 9 cars. It's like, hey, we only need like 3 cars, and then Stretch has as many, right. and we can get everybody to the field. So now instead of spending so much per event just on your expenses of just being there, it's now cut down. So you can either, 1, make more money, or 2, you don't have to take as many teams just to cover your expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because you guys know it, paintball tournaments is, yes, they're competitive, but they're also fun, and they're also mini vacations.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't have to be slaving away and taking crazy amount of teams just to make my money back and then make a little bit of money on top, and I can make just a little bit less money, but I'm still way in the black in terms of making money, then yeah, I'll take a little bit less teams, and now I'll be able to go hang out at the beer tent with my friends. I can go like walk around and shoot like some teams that I wouldn't normally be able to shoot and stuff like that. Like on the semi-pro field, because I'm not slaving away at like D3 or D4.
Right.
So it's the mindset was trying to gain those positives of having our own team, while still saying that like I'm still an independent person. I'm an independent contractor. These are my prices, and I'm not being forced to drop down my price or bring up my price. But yeah.
Yeah, that's probably really smart to do too, especially so media doesn't get like burnt out and then leave. I know there's been like a lot of really great photographers and videographers that have left the game, and then
Mike
some
Deep.
haven't. Yeah, I was literally about to bring up Mike Deep. Some that have come back and some that never did.
Yep.
Like Mike Deep left and then took a bunch of photos for like NASA and still does. He actually messaged me before COVID though about trying to come back and start taking photos again. Unfortunately, that didn't like play out because of everything. But like you look at like DQ or people like Cassidy who ended up just switching over business.
I mean, he shoots for Cloud9 now.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he's
who ended up
on
switching.
better.
Yeah, end up switching to other areas. But then there's some people that just got burnt out from it, which is like understandable. A lot of the ways that like media is treated in paintball isn't that good. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's we are now at the 2-hour mark. I mean, this has been a whirlwind of a podcast, and we've been all over the place, but it's been phenomenal. And I just want to say thank you guys for hopping on and doing this. And I think
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
100%. It's been a blast from the past, and talking about leagues and other leagues and getting a different perspective, because Dan and Zach, you guys have been around for forever. Casey, it seems like you've been around for just about as long, but maybe not playing like at D1 and stuff.
No.
But it's a lot of different perspectives, and especially coming from a lot of different backgrounds, it's really interesting to see how where we came from and where we are now, and how it shaped whether what we think of how leagues are ran, or just even from a media perspective. Because a lot of people say that media isn't super important, but for those that play, realize how important that it is, whether it's from Go Sports to a webcast, or just, hey man, I'm playing, and then I want to get some pictures, that get some memories.
Big facts.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's going to be sure to tune in this weekend. When is this getting posted?
It's live, buddy.
We're live,
Yeah,
bro.
this is live right now.
Yeah.
It's posted.
Like,
Oh
it'll
my
get posted,
God.
but it is live right now.
All right. Yeah.
It
So
will,
be sure to tune in this weekend.
Yeah, twitch.tv/Maximum Velocity Paintball.
Paintball.
Live? This is live.
Yeah.
Live, Rodriguez.
yes,
So
Elias, this is live.
Commentating.
We'll be live
Left
at
bench.
I think 7:45 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. That's the latest that will go live. We're trying to be live a little bit earlier, but we'll see. And then we'll be on for all the matches. Dan, give me back my USF jersey. You still have it,
So I got to find that then,
bro? Don't even. The only other one I have is hung up.
Oh, so you have
Mm.
one. So you can just keep it.
But
Oh,
yeah,
I need it back.
so I'm gonna sign us off.
All right.
Thanks guys.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us.